with the Taylor Swift Life of a Showgirl aesthetic literally trending everywhere, my social media feed has been full of this gorgeous orange and aqua colour combo. Orange isn't a colour I gravitate towards, but the more I'm seeing it, the more I want to have a little bit of a play. So today we are going to be inspired by the album cover of Life of a Showgirl, and we're going to create 5 different art journal pages. Now, even if you're not a Swiftie, please do not panic and run in the opposite direction. This is a crafting video. We are going to be inspired by colour, we're going to try out new techniques and have a lot of fun. So without further ado, shall we just get started? I am working in my Pink Pig art journal today. So I first got this idea for the video when the news of that album first hit. I like Taylor Swift. I'm not I'm not into like all the theories and the crazy Taylor mania. Her music's okay. My daughter is 13, so you know, I do get to hear regular Taylor updates from her. And I think because of this, that is why my feed was full of the trending aesthetic that is this new album. When the information on the new album first came out, there was just almost like a lock screen, and it had these 2 colours of orange and aqua. As I said, after that my feed just became full of it, and orange stuff was all over my feed, and orange really isn't one of my favourite colours, but I do like the aqua. So I thought I would have a play and see if I could make these colours work for me in my journal. My original idea was that we would do some monochromatic pages in orange, some in aqua, and then we would try mixing them together. Now, as I said, orange is not my favourite colour, and I pulled out lots of orange supplies and I started working on this page, and I kept playing and doing more and doing more, and strangely enough all that happened was it just got more and more orange, and the more orange that it got, the more I disliked it and thought, what on earth am I going to do? I kind of lost the white space, I'd lost the contrast, it was just, I don't know, that looks like some sort of strange lava. Not impressed at all. So in the end I decided to take this tape off. It was ripping the paper slightly, so I just put a heat gun to it. It makes it easier to come off. And once we had the white border, even though it wasn't a nice crisp satisfying border, still a border, I kind of liked it better once we had a bit of white on there. And then I spent ages going through my stamps trying to work out what on earth I was going to put on this, keep orange and still lift the page. Then I found these musicality stamps that I've not played with in ages, and I thought they are perfect, seeing as we are kind of being inspired by a music album, having that nod to music, and it would be a really good idea. So I decided to stamp and emboss because again I was wanting to keep the tonality of a monochrome colour palette, and so yeah, I kept it gold because that's kind of within the remit. I stamped it out and then just kind of blocked it all out with gesso to give it a bit of a base so that we could colour it in and that there'd be some contrast towards the background. So I've kind of leant into the more pinks. I'm saying pink because my head just popped into the corner of the screen there and I was like, oh my goodness, my hair looks pink. I actually like that colour. I don't like the orange. And my brain was distracted and I said pink instead of golds, but we coloured it with gold colours. And then because that we didn't have the nicest, crispest edge on the frame, I decided just to kind of go with it, and I added a bit of a wiggly doodly border with a browner pen. So again, we're sticking within the colour palette. I tried to add a little bit of darker gold just behind the phonograph to make it pop, and I also grounded the bottom so it wasn't floating on nothing. At this point I quite like the page. I don't love it. It's never going to be my favourite, I don't think. But considering how much I hated it and how much I could have cried at the beginning, I think it's okay. So we have gone with the sentiment, music is what feelings sound like. Once again, I said I had that, when the white came in, I felt a bit happier. And because we had the white border and the white sentiments, I decided to also come in with the white pen. I thought it still kind of works with the monochromatic scheme, and it did just help to make the image pop and for me to add a little bit of doodly details. And I think doing that really just helped to lift the whole page so it didn't look, oh, I say quite as orange, it's still very orange, but it didn't look quite so kind of just very samey. I think there was a little bit more contrast, to which I liked it. So this is not my favouriteest page in the world, but I am glad I've had to play with one of the colours that I don't really like. I learned a lot pushing through the process and enjoyed the end result. Much more comfortable with this one. This is the Aqua monochromatic page. Now by the point I had started this video, although I had the idea just to do the colour combos, the actual album cover had been released, and so I was taking inspiration from more of the elements. So in one of the songs, it is called Ophelia, and I think she's taken inspiration from a painting for her album cover. We'll go into that a bit later. But basically she is lying down in water of some description. And there has been this trending colouring technique of doing this water, and I have seen it all over Colour Talk, and I have not yet tried it. So I thought we would give this a go. To be honest, I think I made this a lot harder than it needed to be. When I watched other people do it, it looked really simple, but I did it, didn't like it. The first colour that I put down was too similar, then I put that greeny colour down, then I didn't think there was enough contrast, then I came in with a kind of sparkly watercolour to give each sort of blob, blob shape more definition. I learned a lot doing this page. Again, when I created this page, I don't think I've got enough depth. I think we maybe need to do some more playing with some monochromatic pages. I'm kind of contemplating possibly working my way through the rainbow, doing a monochromatic page for each colour. That might be fun. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. But anyway, we take out a flower. I wanted it to look like you were looking on top of the water. So the images that I had to look like they were an aerial view. So I had these flowers that were in the Bumble Buzz digital collection, and I coloured those out in monochrome. And what you saw me scribbling was these sort of like little lily pads. Anyone can draw them. You do not have to be an artist. So, you know, if you're not, don't panic. It's literally, if you can draw a wee Pac-Man, you're fine. That's the shape, a wee Pac-Man shape, but just sort of round it slightly. I'm trying to add a little bit of depth here. It's not, again, the contrast that I would like. It's not my overall favourite page, but I did learn this new technique of the water. I think I laboured it because I didn't really know what I was doing, but I have to say we do another page with this technique later on in this video, and I love how that one turned out. So this is why we have a journal. This is why we practice techniques. Again, this is not my most favourite page, but I learned something new in this, and I have taken that skill forward, which I will use in other projects. So I am absolutely, I don't love it, but yeah, again, you know, I learned a lot. Again, taking elements from the actual cover, there was also this sort of like fractured element of very angular shapes, and I thought it would be interesting to try and play with this. And this is what I wanted to do this video, that it's not just about, okay, yeah, it's Taylor Swift and that's it. But what I was really wanting to show is how you can take inspiration from everyday things. This was everyday because literally my social media feed was full of it. And so I was seeing these colours regularly, I was seeing this album cover regularly, and it just triggered thoughts and ideas. And it's a really good way of finding inspiration, is just seeing what is there in the world around you, whether that be nature, whether it be what's coming up on your social media feed, whether it's a film you watch or a book you read. And what's quite interesting as well is that all artists do this. When you look at the title pages of the Taylor Swift songs that are coming, she's got one called Ophelia, which obviously there is a story behind her, there's paintings behind her, so inspiration's been taken there. Another one is called like Elizabeth Taylor, so inspiration's clearly been taken there. And I love taking inspiration from different genres of artists. I quite often go down to the Edinburgh Fringe, and going down there and just being surrounded by creativity in many different outlets really feeds my creativity, and I think this is an example of it. This is a singer-songwriter. I do not have those skills whatsoever, yet I've still been able to take inspiration from them. I watch a lot of Creative Paula, and she does a lot of videos where she kind of puts a base colour down and then starts adding details into the individual elements. So that's kind of what I did. I had the idea of the fact that those stamps fit really well into those angular shapes, but then I also just tried doing a bit of line work, a bit of dot work. Didn't think there was enough contrast, so I came in with some more stamps and added some stamp details, and then I also added a little bit more of the black line work. I think adding the black helped. Also on that album cover there's this like orange glitter, so I kind of wanted to represent that, so it just very subtly in a few places here and there I've just added some orange dots, and then again trying to combine the two colours. I wanted to keep the page simple where we see that sort of fractal element, and so I've just stamped out a couple of little flowers, coloured them in orange. My hands are covered because the orange glitter pen that I was using, literally I've not used it in forever and it's so broken. It's now in the bin. I kind of, because honestly, every time I opened it, orange splattered everywhere and my hands were a constant mess. I quite like this. Again, I think there's elements of it that'll bring it forward, but yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Now this page that we're moving on to now, yeah, I struggled a lot. So I was so excited because I was finally getting to play with these colours together properly, and I put them down. Actually, I'd started this page before the last one that we've just seen. The magic of editing is put it all together, but this page was a struggle. So basically I put it all down and I loved the background, and then I didn't know what to do with the background. As you can see by that quick flash there, I did try and paint like the honey pot from one of my Bumblebee stamps, because there was a song called Honey, and I really hated how that was looking. At that point I went to bed, so it was already my second attempt on this page. I went to bed and thought, yeah, I'm just going to think about it in the morning. In the morning I had decided just to cover up that Bumblebee page, and the colours, although I say I don't use those colours, they really reminded me of a patina, and I love a steampunk effect and I love doing patina colours. So I thought I'm going to go with that. So I got my steampunk papers out. Next to it was a Jane Davenport paper. And I just thought the image, the way that is girl, it was very Taylor Swift-esque. I thought it looked quite like her. Now, as I was filming this, obviously the news of Taylor and Travis's engagement hit. And once again, my feed was full of all of this imagery. And I think it's gone viral because everybody is using it because it's trending. And it's like, oh, it's crazy how the advertisers have used it, honestly. It's like my audience, and even talk about Instagram algorithm. But I kind of went with it. So because of her engagement, I've added a few love hearts. I also had this word which had the orange sparkly yes in it, and it's like, so she said yes. I also added these little squares and hearts kind of going over the paper and the background to make it all work together. So actually this has turned out to be one of my favourite pages, but I sat down 3 times to do it because I just couldn't move forward with it. But I love how it turned out. And I'm just finishing it off with splatters. The other thing is the paper that I chose has a bit of a wood grain look, and she does have a song coming out on that album which is called Wood. So this album, sort of suggestions from bits and pieces and what was happening in her life, inspired this particular page. Now I was really excited about doing this page because this page is kind of based on the album cover but also based on the painting of Ophelia, which I do feel that Taylor Swift has looked at and taken inspiration from herself. So I have used this Stampinori stamp from her Forest collection. And again, I'm going to try this water effect because I want it to look like she's like lying peacefully in the water. This time though, I decided to go with alcohol markers because I tried it with the acrylic paint before, and to be honest, when I've seen it on Colour Talk, I have seen it with the alcohol markers, and I'm more familiar with alcohol markers, more comfortable with them, so I thought I'd get on a little bit better. I'm taking that colour right into her hairline because I do want to try and make this look like she is underwater. We are going, I love how this turned out, please stay tuned, honestly I just love it. We use so many different techniques and I just love the results, and they're not that hard to achieve. So again, we do that kind of splodgy look all over the place. And once I've done that, I can then come in with my alcohol markers and I am just colouring in. I have to say, this paper held up really well. So this is my Pink Pig journal. It's a 300 GSM watercolour paper, so therefore not designed for alcohol markers at all. But we managed to get it looking okay. Now I really want it to look like she's lying underneath the water, so once I'd finished the skin tones, I then came in with like an aqua pen and went over some of the shadow areas with an aqua pen just to kind of give that illusion of her being under the water. We're going to keep working with that, and yeah, but that was quite a good thing if you're trying to do that, is trying to look at the colours around you and reflect it into the main object. I then go on to flicking her hair because when we stamped out, because I use my Memento ink, which is probably drying out and I should get myself a new one, quite frankly, it was a little bit kind of muted, so I wanted to go over it with colouring, but I also put a bit of blue into the black as well, again to go under that under the water look. Now because I have rediscovered my pastels in the video where we used our forgotten supplies, and I loved the way that we could create makeup with it. I have got them out again and I'm doing the same. This time there's a little bit more space to do makeup, so I'm sort of blending her cheeks and then her face, because as I said, this isn't marker paper, so although we got a reasonable blend, it may be not as perfect as we would like, but I love the softness that the pastels really added to that. We're going to play with pastels a lot. Now again, this is where I absolutely loved it and where I felt the magic started to happen. Is I took some of the blues from the pastels and put it over the hairline slightly and over some of the features on her face, and I really think that helped to make it look like she was underwater. One, with the colour tone, because the colour tone of the blue was great, and also the fact that it kind of softened the line a lot, it kind of muted it down, and that muted look is almost like it was underwater, because it would have a different surface under the water. So I absolutely love how that turned out. Once I'd got that how I wanted it, I used a fixative and let that dry. Now these were forest themed images from the lovely Erica, and each of the girls in these images kind of almost has like a forest themed tattoo on her, and I thought this looked very much like the dress that Taylor Swift is wearing in the album, but her dress is all made out, it's a showgirl dress, but it's made out of kind of like cubic zirconia. It's very sparkly, so I thought I could emulate that sort of look by going in all of these lines but painting it white. Once that had kind of dried, I then come in with the same water effect. I think I've really improved the technique from earlier. I'm going a lot looser, you can see I'm holding the pen quite far back, and then I also brought those wiggly lines over onto her as well, so it really does look like she is submerged in water. Absolutely, I'm so excited by this. Now I kind of messed up here because I also wanted to bring in elements from the actual painting, not just the album cover, and in the painting obviously it's the water and it's surrounded by the grass and it's got these lovely like little white flowers in on the grass, and so I thought I would do that. But the moment I added the green, I hated it. So thankfully with acrylic markers you can sort of rectify things quite easily. So I pulled out another marker and the aqua tones. These are actually shuttle art. I'm experimenting with new acrylic markers because I have a love-hate relationship with the Artix ones that I normally use. So far I'm liking these, so this is good. So I kind of brought it back, made it more aqua, went back over with the wave pattern, and now it just looks like a tonal variation, so I'm happy with that, but I kind of wished I'd left it alone. I take in a fine liner. Because we use pastels over the face, we have really muted the line work, so I wanted just to emphasise her eyebrows and her eyelashes, and that is that page all done. So as we review our pages, I hope that you have enjoyed gaining a little bit of inspiration from an unusual source with me today. If you would like some more inspiration for your art journal pages, you may want to check out this playlist here, which is full of lots of ideas for how to fill your art journal, and I will see you guys again next Friday.